You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is Friday morning show. I'm going to get woke up here in a minute. I got Hansson Hindenburg from Baytown Tires. Wow, what's that noise in the background? I think he just put me on hold. Hello, are you there? Hello, Hansson.
Hello?
Hello, you had me on hold there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was trying to switch phones up.
Okay, tell me what are y'all promoting at Baytown Tires this week? Anything super spectacular?
We got as usual, all kinds of different sales. You know, we carry so many different brands and so many different services and things. We always have something. I try to make it sound spectacular. We have Generals on sale this week, which is a real popular truck tire. You know, we also have cash savings on, you know, if you put it on your credit card and all those kinds of things going on. I sometimes have to look at the website to make sure that I keep updated on all the different goodies that are going on at all times.
Well, I know there's always something happening, and I'm always talking to people about tires, and they're going, well, what kind of tires should I buy? And I said, well, you've got 3 types of tires. They go, really? What kind of tires I got? I said, you got good, you got better, and you got best. And I said, really, the best bargain is the best tires because you get the most miles, the best ride, the best handling, and the longest life out of a tire that costs, 20% more than the worst tire? I mean, than a good tire? I should say the worst tire.
And, you know, sometimes people are surprised. I was looking at, you know, trade magazines and even, you know, we disagree sometimes with Consumer Reports. We had this conversation before. But there's very good values in tires out there. Consumer Reports and also, you know, some of our trade magazines rated a tire like Nexen. And you've had experience with that too. And they were in the top 5, you know, tires for best value, including, you know, tires like Michelin, General, and also Bridgestone and Goodyear. So they're ranked very highly for what you get for the money, and they hold up really well.
Now, the catch that I'm finding out is if you don't rotate and check the balance on these things about every 5,000 to 8,000 miles, you're not going to be happy no matter what kind of tire you buy. Whether it's
That's absolutely right. I mean, some people are very happy with an inexpensive tire, and they take good care of it. I've seen people get 60,000 mile out of a 40,000 mile rated tire because they're always checking the air pressure, they're keeping up with the alignment, they're making sure that they're rotated consistently, and they have really good luck. And I've seen people buy expensive tires that are rated at 90,000 miles, and they don't ever rotate them, they don't do alignments and things like that, and they get 50 or 60,000 miles out of them.
If they're lucky. I have a lot of them come in here that buy those tires, and they never rotate them, and at 40,000 miles, they're making so much noise. I just say, you have a choice. Either throw away the tires or live with the noise. And they go, I can't live with this noise. I said, then get rid of your tires. And then they say, well, what's going to solve that? And I said, you rotating your tires and checking the balance every oil change you get. You know, you get an oil change every 6,000 miles with synthetic. Change it, rotate it then. Well, that's an extra $40 or so. I go, what's a set of tires cost? You know, well, you got a point there.
Yeah, I mean, and really, you know, we used to do oil changes every 3,000 miles, so we would say every other oil change. And some people still believe that, but they're doing oil changes at 6,000 mile intervals. So it's way too long before they rotate the tires again.
Well, I've seen cars after a little less 3,000 miles have a wear pattern on them. That if I know if I don't correct that wear pattern by doing an alignment or rotating the tires, that's going to be a very noisy or an out of balance tire that the customer's not going to be happy with. But it doesn't take very long for an alignment issue to raise its ugly head. And a lot of people just don't realize what to look for. What are some of the things they should look for on an alignment issue out there on their tires? Do you have?
And you're absolutely right. And people are buying lots of new cars as well, and we get them in here. Well, these tires are making a noise, and they have 30,000 miles on them. They've never rotated them. You know, I don't think they're getting good enough education when they purchase the car You know, they drive it off the lot, and that's pretty much it. And they never look at what the recommended, schedule is for maintenance or any of those things.
Well, you might be because, like we talked about before, Consumer Report years ago put out, you're wasting your money by rotating and balancing your tires, because the amount of money you spend on rotating and balancing your tires doesn't justify doing that. You can just replace your tires. I'm going, who gave them this information? Because every time that a car gets its tires rotated and balanced, people are looking at the brakes, they're looking at the suspension, they're looking at things that are, well, there's a lot safety items that make a big difference on your car. And if you don't rotate your tires, you're not going to get the mileage out of them. You're not going to get the performance or handling out of them.
Right. You're going to really affect the ride quality. And that's what most people wind up being concerned about. My car is shaking like it didn't used to. And balancing is very important. It's not a one-time event.
No.
People don't realize that the balance of the tire changes, and it doesn't change every week, but usually every 6 months or so is a very important time for you to check the balance on the tire.
Yeah, if tires wear out, rubber goes away. Well, if the rubber goes away, you may not need that much weight anymore for that balance because you got less rubber on the tire. Or you may need to add more weight, or I don't know what the deal is, but I do know that it does. Tires, if we check the balance on them, they're always off at least a half to 1 ounce after 6,000 miles.
Well, and the tire actually migrates just a hair. When I say a hair, it basically is a hair on the rim itself.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Things change, and unfortunately people hit a curb or don't even realize it, or a pothole, and really that throws off, that dynamic as well on the tire. And roads are not as perfect as you think they are.
No,
so that really affects the whole dynamic of the tire itself.
Now, let me ask, I have some customers that have bent wheels, and they're saying, I'm not experiencing any problems with them, I'm not a vibration, and I get in the car, and I can feel a little bit, nothing serious. Does a bent wheel cause anything detrimental to the life of the car or the safety of the car?
It does and it doesn't. Some people, I've seen them drive 60,000 miles with a bent rim, and it wore the tire a little bit funny. And other times, they're bent so much to where you wind up having issues with the suspension itself, to where, it's wearing the tire funny, it's throwing off the alignment. So it really depends on how badly the rim is bent.
I just wonder, because I know that I have people that come into my shop and they hit their brakes and they got this vibration. I said, yes, sir, you got a vibration. More than likely you've got something wrong with the rotors or the brakes or whatever. And I said, and let's inspect the car. And we inspect the car and we find tie rod ends wore out or ball joints. And they go, well, what caused them to wear out? And I said, well, believe it or not, this vibration, when you hit the brakes or making the wheels and tires go in and out, that helps wear your tie rod ends and your ball joints out, because that's extra movement from side to side that doesn't need to be there.
And especially on an older car, that things are not as tight as they used to be in the front end. It does make a difference. It just exasperates the wear and tear on the front end.
Yeah, and now we talked about this once. Isn't don't they recommend checking the alignment on a car once a year or every 12 to 15,000 miles? I can't remember when.
Usually once a year is the standard recommendation on doing alignments.
Now. What causes, someone asked the other day, said, well, alignments never get out unless they're knocked out. And I said, well, that's not necessarily true. And they said, why is that? And I said, well, as a car gets older, the height of the car changes. It drops due to gravity. And it may only drop 1/8 of an inch over a year's time. That may not be a lot, but that might affect the toe end and might affect the caster or the camber.
That's right. Parts are designed to wear, because that also, absorbs some of the shock when you're driving down the road. And it's not static. All these parts are moving all the time. And just by driving it over time will change on how the tire sits, which changes the alignment. And people don't realize that. All these parts are really moving 1,000 times a minute when you're going down the road. And
that's, I guess we've talked about that before, that's where your shocks come in, and a lot of people overlook those shocks and struts. And after 75,000 to 100,000 miles, if you've got the original equipment struts and shocks on there, you're really doing yourself a disservice on your ride and the handling of the vehicle.
And most people, miss that because they're worried about the expense, but it really does make a difference. If we do it all the time at 100,000 miles,
Oh, yeah.
you change out all those components, and they go, well, this thing drives really like a new car again.
It does, and I'm sitting there going, well, I never noticed it getting so bad. And I said, well, it's so insidious. You know, you don't ever see it. You just kind of like it's there and gradually gets worse and worse and worse. And you think that bouncing is normal, and it's not. But shocks and struts have about a 100,000-mile lifespan. Tires should be rotated every 6,000 to 8,000 miles. You should make sure your alignment's checked every year, or at least every 12,000 to 15,000 miles. Is there any other things you can think of that customers need to be doing on a regular maintaining basis that may not be in their owner's manual? Because some of these things aren't in your owner's manual. They don't talk about rotating your tires mandatory. They'll say rotate them, is what they'll say, but they don't say, you know, what happens if you don't.
Well, and you know, some of the fluids I think are really missed sometimes by some of the recommended.
Yeah.
You know, they don't look at severe service, especially for transmissions and heating. You know, the radiator fluids, because those things are working really hard, especially if you have a truck and you're towing things.
Oh yeah.
And the SUVs nowadays are so versatile that people are towing, you know, little campers with them or, you know, little trailers, and that really makes a difference on all those fluids.
Yeah, well, and speaking of those little trailer tires, they may look brand new because you may only put 500 miles a year on that trailer, but after 5 years, they need to really think about getting rid of those tires, seriously get rid of them. Even though they may look brand new, they may be too old.
Well, we see it all the time, you know, like you said, 500 miles a year maybe, but after 3-4 years, unfortunately, those tires have a tendency to come apart.
Yep.
And that's when things like, you know, the trailer flips over or you have a severe enough blowout to where it just damages the trailer itself.
Oh, we see that all the time, and we've had people call us up and say, I didn't believe you till I had a blowout on pulling a trailer, and it almost got me killed. And I said, from now on, I'll never let my tires be more than 5 years old on my trailer.
Well, and people forget about repacking the bearings and checking the bearings on them as well. That, you know, that grease sits there for 11 months out of the year until you use it, and it really just deteriorates both with heat and moisture and all those things combined. It just becomes like gook.
Now, I was going to say, what do they recommend on trailer repacking wheel bearings? Is it time, or is it? It can't be much on mileage because people don't pull the trailers.
Well, they really recommend that you do it once a year.
Well, yeah, how many people do that?
That, you know, and I've talked to trailer manufacturers too and said, when was the last time? Well, we recommend that you repack and check the bearings every 12 months.
Yeah,
and this is this was on the manufacturer that makes campers and also, you know, utility trailers. And they said, if you read our book, that's what we recommend.
Yeah, I had one come in the other day. It was a 1979 trailer, and I looked at the tires and wheels on it, and the spare tire was from 79, and the other tires were from 1984. And I said, have you ever packed the wheel bearings on this thing? And he said, they got wheel bearings on it? I said, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Sometimes they don't when you get here.
That's sometimes true. There was no wheel bearings left. There's just a little, rumbling of metal inside there. But Hansson, thank you so much for being on here. But if people need their wheel bearings packed on their trailer, or new tires on their trailer, or getting their alignment done, or an oil change, or a coolant exchange, or any of these things maintenance-wise, Baytown Tires can take care of it, right?
Absolutely. We'll gladly do it.
All right, give them a call at 873-8900, Monday through Saturday from can to can't.
That's right. We're here.
All right, you be good, Hansson. I'll talk to you next week. All right, bye-bye, everybody.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guarantee.